Chris Graham here for Trailblazer RV. We're here on the wash pad at Trailblazer where this 2009 Heartland RV Sundance 315 RD is awaiting detailing tomorrow morning. But we're going to take you through a new RV orientation on it and just show you kind of how everything works and where everything is. Starting right here at the front of the trailer, where you've got your power landing legs. The switch to operate the power landing legs is here. Extend and retract. Once you've got all of the weight on the truck, you can pull the quick spring pin to raise the jacks up. Right here is your propane system. So the propane bottles that came in on trade with this were expired, so we replaced them with two brand new propane bottles. They're both 30-pound bottles and they're both full right now. You also got an automatic switch over propane regulator, which is also new. This regulator has a sight glass showing red. That indicates that there's no propane flowing from the supply bottle. But if I open that valve, you'll see that sight glass go from red to clear. What we recommend is that you open the valve on both bottles and have one or the other selected. Where this is the supply bottle, the regulator will completely drain this bottle first, and then we'll start to pull from the second bottle. When that happens, this sight glass will turn red, so you know that the first bottle is empty. You can switch that over to the second bottle, remove the first bottle to go and refill it without ever shutting down your propane system. Right above your propane bottles is where you'll find your outside shower. Pretty simple with hot and cold taps. Shower extends out to about here, or you can hook it on right here to have it available for hand washing and such. Here at your pass-through storage compartment, you've got, you can see pass-through to the other side, and here you've got your docking station. This is where all of your water hookups will happen. So there's a little light inside here so you can see what you're doing. Fresh water tank fill right here. We recommend using a white non-toxic drinking water hose for that rather than just a conventional garden hose. And your city water connection right beside that. So if you're parked at a site with full water hookups, you can hook your hose up to there. You never have to worry about running out of water or using your water pump. Now, the one right below it is your sewer tank flush. So don't confuse this one with this one. This is the this will spray out the inside of the black holding tank when you're dumping your holding tanks. You've also got in here 110 volt power outlet. You've got satellite and cable TV connections, and in case you want to have a home phone in your RV, you have your phone jack there as well. To run the water hoses up into this compartment, just remove this panel and run the hoses up from below. Right below that is where you'll find your sewer tank drains. So we supply a new 20-foot medium heavy-duty sewer hose. It's stored inside the rear bumper right now. When you go to dump the holding tanks, attach the hose onto here. Other end goes into the ground. And then you've got two valves here. It's kind of difficult to distinguish between the two of them, but you've got a narrower diameter hose and a wider diameter hose. Always dump the wider diameter first. This is your sewer tank drain, and then once that's finished draining, close that valve and open the drain for the narrower pipe here. This is your gray water. That way you can use your gray water to kind of flush through the contents of the black holding tank out of the sewer hose so that there's nothing left in your hose when you have to disconnect it. Right behind that is where you'll find your drain for your fresh water tank, and that drain is open now, so we know the tank is empty. I also see here that we have a second gray water tank here on this trailer, so when you're dumping your holding tanks, don't forget to dump your second gray holding tank. Here at your running gear, you've got tires inflated to 65 psi. and we do recommend running them right at 65 psi. Your lug nuts have been torqued to 100 foot-pounds, and we recommend periodic retorquing of your lug nuts, and we also recommend that you periodically repack wheel bearings. Typically, we recommend every year repacking your wheel bearings. I believe this one's got a grease zerk on it to grease your wheel bearings with a grease gun. So by popping this center cap off here, you can access that grease zerk. If you grease those once or twice a year, it doesn't eliminate the need to repack your wheel bearings, but it does prolong the intervals. So instead of repacking wheel bearings every year, perhaps you repack wheel bearings every 3 or 4 years. Here at the back of the trailer, you've got the access to the rear bunk room. To extend the steps, pull with 2 hands on the bar underneath, and to roll the step out and flip the bottom step. So flip, roll. The rear stabilizer jacks can be cranked down to be snug with the ground, but they're not designed to lift the RV. So once you're parked and relatively level, crank those down just to be snug with the ground to take some of the side-to-side motion out. Your sewer hose stored in the rear bumper. Right on the back of the fifth wheel is where you'll find your 30 amp power cord. We also supply the adapter to adapt this 30 amp cord to 15 amps to plug into a regular household power outlet. Spare tires mounted on the back. It's worth noting that the trailer doesn't come with a jack or a wheel wrench, so recommend that you have with you a wrench that fits your wheel nuts just in case you do ever need to change a tire on the fly. Here around the camping side of the RV, you've got some of your key appliances. Right here is your fridge vent. So this is you can remove this panel to access the back of the fridge for cleaning or repair, but it's primarily just a vent. The fridge needs some air movement to work properly. The water heater is right here. So you can access the back of your water heater from here. This is a DSI hot water tank or direct spark ignition, so no pilot lights to worry about out here. You can drain the water heater by pulling the plug out of the bottom. So 1 1/16 inch socket to remove that plug, and on the end of the plug you'll find a rod about this long. It's your anode rod. The purpose of the anode rod is to corrode over time to help prevent the inside lining of the tank from corroding. So that will need to be replaced periodically, but it can get to be quite pitted and corroded looking before it needs replacement. Typically every 3 to 5 years, depending on the water quality. Before you pull this out, make sure to use the pressure relief valve to bleed the pressure off of the water tank. You've also got 2 little black reset buttons here. Those are ECOs, so if the tank ever overheats, you might trip these and you'll have to come out here and reset them before you can light the tank again. Right next to that is your furnace exhaust. You can remove this panel to access some serviceable components of the furnace, but it's mostly a vent, and it does get very hot, so just make sure that if there's kids around the RV, they know to steer clear of that and don't touch it when it's running. You've got a couple of outside speakers on the RV. Those are controlled from inside at the main stereo system. And here at your pass-through storage compartment, you've got a couple of jack crank handles located here. Your main crank handle to crank your stabilizer jacks. There's also a longer jack crank handle here. That can be used, should you ever need to manually crank the front landing gear if you've got a power problem or the motor gives out on your landing gear. And the third device here is your awning pull rod. It can be used to grip the black pull strap to extend the awning. Here inside the trailer, right inside the door is where we'll find controls for things like porch lights, main living area lights, which have all been upgraded by the previous owner to LED, and slide out control. So to run your main slide out, press and hold the out button. That slide extends a full 3 feet. And it's a flush floor slide, so as it reaches its full extension, it'll sink down to make a flush transition with the floor. Once you hear that ratcheting sound, you know that the slide is fully extended. Below that, you've got your monitor panel. So press the test button to see that your battery is completely charged, your fresh tank is completely empty, your black holding tank is empty, and both of your gray holding tanks are empty. You can also activate your water pump from here. So you hear that pump come on to pressurize the system and then shut down. You can leave this switch on the whole time you're out camping and the pump will come on as needed, or you can just turn it on whenever you need to use the water. And then the other switch is for your DSI hot water heater. You turn that on, the red light comes on. That's a fault light showing that the burner is not operating. If we give it just a second, we should hear the DSI kick in and that burner light. Just like so. So now in 20 or 25 minutes, we would have hot water from our hot water tank. Right below that is your power converter. This is where you'll find your breakers for your 110 volt circuits and fuses for all of your 12 volt circuits. You've got mostly 15 amp fuses in there, but I do see a 10 amp, a 20 amp, and a couple of 40 amp fuses. So not a bad idea to have some assorted fuses on hand. It's not uncommon in an RV to blow a fuse, and if you have some spares with you, it won't be a big deal if you need to change one at the campground. We've got your park adapter for your main 30 amp power cord, just plugged into the wall here. Just a good safe place to keep that where you know you're not going to lose it. And right below here is your propane leak detector. So this will go off to alert you if you have a propane leak. However, if you did have a propane leak in the RV, it's almost certain that you would smell the propane before the detector goes off. The other thing that this detector will do is beep to alert you to a low voltage situation. So if your RV batteries are low, this alarm will go off just like a smoke detector battery would when it's nearing the end of its life. It just means you need to either plug in the trailer, plug into the truck, or put a charge on that battery. Let's turn on our main lights here and come on in. Your fridge is an automatic gas electric Dometic fridge. So to turn it on, just press the on button. We recommend that you always leave it in automatic. When it's in automatic, if it has electricity available, it'll run on that. If it doesn't have electricity available, it'll sense that and it'll start up on propane. You can override the automatic to only run the fridge on gas, and you might find that it cools a little faster on gas than it does on electricity. For now, I'll leave it in automatic and we'll shut it off. Your stove top is a gas burner. Each burner has its own electric piezo sparker. And what we recommend, anytime you have your propane system disconnected for any reason, most likely if you've changed out a propane bottle, the first thing you should do when you put the new bottle on is come here to the stove and just light each of these 3 burners. Once you can get a flame going at each of those 3 burners, you know you've bled the air off the system, and your automatic appliances like your fridge, furnace, and hot water tank are going to have no problem lighting as well. Here around the corner, you've got your kid order window. This is where you open this up to bark orders at your kids, or they order a sandwich from you. And here in the bunk room, a couple of switches here on the wall for your main lights and also for your slide out. Works exactly the same as the other slide out. Press and hold until it goes out. Once you hear the ratcheting sound, you know it's fully extended. Your stereo system is AM, FM, and CD with also auxiliary connection there. I believe when it came into the shop, it had a CD from the previous owner, but somebody must have retrieved that. Somewhere in here, up on the roof above my head, you've got a smoke detector. So the smoke detector is not wired into the RV's electrical system. It has its own 9-volt battery. So you'll want to test that periodically just to make sure that that battery hasn't gone dead. Right here in the hallway, you'll find the thermostat. So this controls both your heating and cooling system. For the cooling system, you'll need to have the RV plugged into power for that, so that air conditioner is not going to kick on right now because we're not plugged in. The 4 things that you'll need power for, need to be plugged into power for: air conditioning, microwave, convection oven underneath the stovetop, and power outlets. All require power to work. Your furnace, if we set the system to furnace and turn up the thermostat to a temperature that we're comfortable at, the furnace fan comes on immediately, and it's going to run for 10 or 15 seconds before the burner lights up. And just like the hot water tank, we should be able to hear that when it sparks to light up. There we go. You can hear that in the video. So now in a few seconds, we would have warm air blowing from our furnace vents. Once the system comes up to temperature, or if you shut it off, the exact same thing happens, only in reverse. The fan is going to continue to run for another 30 seconds to a minute, but the burner has already gone out. Shut that off for now. Here in the bathroom, you've got your RV toilet. Anytime you're using your RV's sewer system, you'll want to use a good potent RV toilet chemical. It comes in powder, liquid, or tablet form. And when you go to add some chemical, open up a package, pour it into the bowl, and then use the foot flush to push halfway down to fill the bowl with water, and then all the way to dump the whole works into the tank. Make sure you add some water with the toilet chemical. It takes some water to activate it. And you'll want to add toilet chemical immediately after every time you dump your black holding tank. So you dump your black holding tank, come in here, add a new charge of chemical, and you should be good until the next time you have to dump your holding tanks. A couple of things here in the main living area. You've got your lights here for above the shower, and these are your switches for your outside speakers, I believe. So if you're using your stereo system and want to activate the outside speakers, you'll have to turn those on. And then bedroom lights here as well. One remaining light that has not been switched to LED. I suspect that the previous owner liked the warm white color of this light rather than the cool white of the LEDs. This is a brand new mattress. It's our RV Traveler's Choice mattress, which is available in all kinds of different RV sizes. Here you have your crank up TV antenna. So you can turn this antenna to crank all the way up on the roof, and then pull down on the antenna surround to swivel the antenna on the roof. With the new digital TV signal, this is not as important as it used to be, and you'll probably find it makes no difference to turn the antenna. It'll pick up what it picks up for digital TV signal. This RV also has a carbon monoxide detector installed here in the bedroom. This also has its own batteries rather than being wired into the RV's electrical system. So you'll want to check the level of the batteries once in a while, make sure they're not dead. You should be able to do that by pressing on the test button to make sure that the batteries aren't dead. Also here, next to the bathroom vanity, is your GFI power outlet. Thanks. That might do that one more time. There we go. Is your bathroom GFI power outlet. Same as the outlets in the bathroom in your home with a test and reset button. The only difference in an RV is this is wired in series with several of your other power outlets. So if you're plugged into power with the RV and you find you're not getting any power from your outlets, come in here, press the reset button. That'll reset that whole circuit. It just now occurred to me that the two speaker buttons switches here, one is for your outside speakers, one is for your bedroom speakers. If you want to turn off your bedroom speakers, you can do so with the speaker switch. Well, hopefully you've learned something about the 2009 Sundance 315 fifth wheel. I know I have. If you have any questions, you can always get a hold of us here at Trailblazer, or you can check our website, trailblazerrv.com. Thanks.